Welcome back to my channel and to my 14-day Skillshare challenge. This challenge was a class by Marie Noel Warm and really pushed me to relax and have fun with my art again. Day 1 was all about Journey, and I decided to give gouache a try. I had a lot of fun with this, and I really like how it turned out in the end. With everything going on in the world, I decided to dedicate my free time to work on art and exploring new mediums. This is the second time I've worked with gouache, and I still have a lot to learn, though I am very happy with how this turned out, considering I'm brand new to this medium. I decided to paint a witch flying toward the ocean, just starting her journey. I've also never painted landscapes, if you can't tell. I was really pushing myself out of my comfort zone with this first challenge. Adding the small highlights and details in the ocean was also very satisfying. Day 2 was cloud watching, making shapes and finding pictures in them. I had the help of my younger sister in making the random shapes. Some of these were much easier than others. The bird was very obvious, and same with the small little caterpillar, I guess, and the face. I'm sorry for my strange looking Pikachu and shark that absolutely failed. But this last shape I had the hardest time with, and I really couldn't come up with anything. Day 3, slowing it down. Now, I decided I was going to have a little fun and do a painting that my mother had been asking for. This is a picture of her cow, Ralphie. We rescued him around Christmas of last year, and he is an important member of the family at this point. We're all vegan, so he's not going to be eaten anytime soon, and he gets to live a very lovely and cush life. Now, I also decided to paint magnolias in this picture. I had never seen a magnolia up close and personal until I moved to the South. And let me tell you, they are absolutely beautiful and so much fun to paint. Now, I decided to use the jelly gouache for this one as well, which I'm getting more confident using it, and I really do enjoy how gouache feels as you work with it. It's just very smooth, and the colors are so bright and satisfying. This picture was probably my favorite picture out of all 14 that I did, and probably the only one that's going to be hanging up in our house anywhere. Now, little Ralphie is a Jersey cow. We have had him for 8-9 months now, and he did get lonely being the only cow out there, so we got him an older brother named Jethro. They are both Jerseys, and they are both very, very handsome, although Ralphie is much darker than Jethro. And overall, having cows as pets is surprisingly fun, and they are very cute when they decide to play and roughhouse and chase the other farm animals around. Day 4 was the opposite of day 3, so I just drew roses because I knew how to draw those quickly. Day 5 was metamorphosis, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with this one, so I just kind of played with shapes until I roughly got a fish, and I called it good. Metamorphosis Day 2 was a continuation of the last picture, only fill up more space, so I tried. Next was a crowd of creatures, and I had an idea in my head for this one, but I could not find my black ink, so I went ahead and used blue. They're more or less just forest creatures, forest spirits, I suppose. It was a lot of fun to do, and a lot of fun to play with my inks. Day 8 was color of the day. Now I decided to paint my front yard. It's very green out here in Tennessee, and this little building here to the side is actually our sheep shack, where we have 3 lambs that currently live there. There's a lot of trees, a lot of plants. Sadly, all of our flowers in the front yard have died off for the season, but it's still very lush and beautiful out here, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. I primarily used watercolors, a little bit of gouache, and just a little bit of line work to add a bit more depth and texture to the piece. All in all, I'm really proud of how this one turned out, and the super fine details just really bring it all together. Now, flatten it out. It was supposed to be a drawing or painting that didn't have very much dimension to it. It was just very flat and simple. And I went back to the gouache, tried to use the same color with extra colors mixed in to get the variations. And the inspiration behind this piece was actually from a class I took in college, where they did a Red Riding Hood painting using only simple shapes of rectangles and triangles. That piece really stood out in my mind, and I tried to recreate it as best I could, but I could have done better in a few places. All in all, I'm really happy with how it turned out. The prompt for today was string, and this was a technique that I've really been wanting to try because I just think it's so beautiful, and it was very satisfying. Day 11 was Transform Me, where we took an old piece and added to it and tried to make it a little better. So I went back to Journey and I added a few more details, and I really like this effect. But I decided I needed to add a little bit more as well, so I pulled out my metallic inks. Adding the metallics was a lot of fun, and I feel like it gave it a little bit more dimension. And the glitter definitely helps. Day 12 was structure. Now, when I was in grade school, I had done a drawing of a cathedral. And I really wanted to go back to that kind of structured buildings. There's something satisfying about drawing straight lines, which I cannot do to save my life. And I've also been on a Victorian kick, as you can see from some of my other videos. So I decided to do this cute little Victorian house with a couple of little details. Drawing the plants definitely added a little bit more depth and dimension, and playing with just the macron markers are a lot of fun. I decided I didn't want it to be just black and white, and that I needed to add some color as well. So I had used a reference photo for this drawing, but I definitely had my own take with the colors. And this paper does not take colored pencil very well, so it's very sketchy, but overall I'm really happy with how it turned out. Next was take 2. So I took the string challenge that we had done, and I decided I was going to try and add a little bit more to it, like I did with my journey picture. So I went back to my metallics and tried to add a little bit more depth and dimension to everything. The first page, it didn't come out as clear as I had hoped, but the second page, I definitely had more fun and felt much looser. Day 14, the last day, and the topic was texture. We didn't get a whole lot of anything behind it, just texture. So I went ahead and pulled out an old bird's nest that I had, added a couple of feathers, and just did a very rough idea of what the bird nest looked like without making it look too realistic. Overall, all 14 days were a lot of fun and very worth it. These were my 3 favorites. Thank you guys so much for listening.